Well, hello everybody. Today I'm working with some interesting and fun elements, putting together this rave track, and I thought I would just go through really quickly. Well, the MC-707 is the best Groovebox that's ever been made. It's even slightly better than the OPXY. I really love the OPXY, but I would give the nod to the MC-707 because it's really about the synthesis in there for me. I can make any synth sound that I've ever heard inside the MC-707. I can't say that with the OPXY. Plus, each track has its own little effects pedal. So each track has a standalone effect, and each track has these three send effects here. I usually use as one of my effects the DJ filter. And then I have a send reverb and a send delay there on the output. Is the way I think of that. But then each track has its multi-effect. You can do phasers, chorus, overdrives. Starting out, had that nice solo. Yeah, I got that really interesting overdriven sound, and that's really the Aphex Twin Mount St. Michel sound, but with overdrive on it. So if I turn the overdrive off, so it's kind of that microtune piano from Aphex Twin Mount St. Michel. And you can do micro tuning on the MC-707 because you can individually tune each note to whatever you want it to be. Make your own scales and that type of thing. So that's what that is. And then I have a nice house chord there. That's a chord I made for one of my packs. I'm sure you'll find it on my Patreon. And then a real heavy side chain compression. Kick. But then I've also got a complete drum track over here. I don't always want to be side chaining and crushing everything down, but it makes a good effect to bring it in and out. Now that little xylophone track is very interesting. I've got one of the mods put to portamento, so check this out. So just at will, I can flip it over and have portamento on it and have that little slide flute type of sound. But the reason it's constantly in key and constantly just totally random is due to, so you've got your clip properties, and so if you go under here under setting, you can play it at random, the direction at random. A lot of different ways, but also at random. So if my original track was just like this. And so when the MC-707 randomizes something, it only randomizes the notes you've already put in. So I had notes in there that fit with my house chord that were in key with it. And so when I put it on random, Yeah, I did the same thing with the snares too. The snares are totally random. So the snares started out like this. But random makes kind of these random rolls that sound really cool. Every Groovebox should have a DJ filter and sidechain. There's no getting around that. That is a huge problem with the MC-707, that it doesn't have sidechain. I mean, I work around it by using the signable out. So I sign my kick out and make an extra track. But, you know, there's workarounds, of course. If you're doing a 4 on the floor beat, at any time you can just use Motion Designer and get kind of a sidechain thing happening for sure. If I designed the MC-707, my first concern would be sidechain compression. And it would be a multi-band sidechain, because that's kind of my mixing secret, really, to making huge mixes, is to get every track working together with multi-band sidechain compression, each track stepping out of the way of one another. It just gives it such a solid sound and such a huge sound compared to the way it comes out of the MC-707. And I can do that when I run it out the USB, because when you run it out of the USB, then you've got your individual tracks in Ableton. So I make 8 separate tracks, and I multi-band compress those. Didn't do it with this live type of stuff, but that's what I would normally do. Yeah, so that's kind of how I set up my Rave track. If you have any questions about the MC-707, let me know in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video.